The Green Build Hub is all about informing and influencing sustainable construction. Based at the Eden Project campus, and we're built to the BREEAM Outstanding Award standard. The Hub has a training and learning facility, conference and workshop space, and we offer academics, designers, product suppliers the opportunity to test and research performance specification. We provide a building monitoring system and we deliver the free Skill Store project. This is an online learning platform on sustainable construction and energy efficiency, and we give guided tours to local and visiting community groups to share our sustainable construction principles. We discovered that we had a bee's nest on site, and we became aware of bee activity at the Green Build Hub about 2 years ago, but last year it became more obvious to us that we had a nest high up in the roof parapet wall. Our first thought was to leave them undisturbed, as they did not appear to be causing a problem to students or staff, but we were uncertain what the longer-term consequences might be. So we arranged for Michael at the Bodmin Beekeepers Group to pay us a visit, and he in turn directed us to Molly Earle of Bees Off, who undertook a thermal imaging assessment and prepared a plan of action. So if you'd like to find out more about the Green Build Hub, please visit our website and the Skill Store project as well.
My name's Molly Earle, and I run a Bees Off live bee removals. I've been beekeeping for probably 10 years now. We can take live bee removals from anywhere, whether they're in the floor, a wall, a ceiling, a chimney. You know, there's just no need for pesticides anymore. I run 100 hives, I tend to keep it around 100, and then I do produce nukes for sale, so if people wanted to start beekeeping, I can supply starter packages for them. So we've exposed part of the comb, and we're just taking the number of the bees down by gently hoovering them into this ventilated box here. Because it's ventilated, they're quite fine in there. Unless it gets absolutely full to the brim, and then they just can't regulate their heat, so you never let it get full like that. If you open it up a bit at a time, you can pick through it at a nicer pace, and it's not so distressing for them. When I take the bees home, the first thing they do is get put, from the bees in the box, get put into this purple one. Will have all the honeycomb, or the comb with the brood and the eggs and the larvae. So the bees will be reunited in a hive with all their comb, with all the eggs and larvae and brood. It's essential for them in their new house. So even though we take their own comb with them, before they can seal it into their frame and build it out, they need stores, they need nectar to be able to get so full and saturated with nectar that they secrete little wax flakes, and it's that wax secretion that they use to build the structure of the nest. They need 4 parts honey to make 1 part wax. The colony's been there, I'd say 2 years. We've taken the bees away, taken them back to isolation first, so we start by opening it up. So you've got to find it, thermal imaging, so you can see the colony size, best way to go in, and then you can strip out slowly to expose the colony, gently hoovering the bees as you go into a bee safe box. And then as the comb's exposed, you've got fewer bees, then you can start to work with a comb. That gets cut and framed up to go into a hive. The bees come into a nice ventilated box, and then at the end of the day you can unite the bees with their comb. I cherry pick the nice straight combs with eggs and brood and larvae, and that is what the bees love, to get them going again. So they're all reunited, they're monitored for disease, they're fed if they need to be, which I tend to do, to feed them back some of their own honey so they can get building that colony, that structure back nicely together. Go through isolation in case there's any disease or there's a problem with the queen. 6 to 8 weeks in isolation, you know you've got a nice colony, you know you've got a healthy colony, and it will go into one of the main apiaries as a managed stock. I thought I'd show you, this is the colony that I removed from the Green Building Hub at the Eden Project 2-3 weeks ago now, and it's time for them to go into a hive. They're getting really a strong colony now, and you can see the process. First we're going to move this into a slightly different location and get the hive in place. As you can see, they've built up really well, so we're just going to transfer these frames across. Oh, there's the queen. There's the queen right there. I'm going to mark her while we found her. You very gently squash the queen, just enough to hold her. A tiny spot of paint on her. Now she'll be much easier to see. Got the queen safely in her little clip here, drying off with the paint. Much easier to just transfer the frames across. Now, oh, that's amazing. All of this now is completely capped brood, so she's been a fantastic queen and she's taken exceptionally well to being rehomed. That is a really good colony. Just started to get a nectar flow, and you can see they're filling all those cells up with some really nice nectar. So this is one we cut out of the wall. You can see how much darker it is. Because it is an old, darker comb, I'm going to replace this one out with something a lot fresher. Here you can see some drone brood. These cappings of the cells are much more raised, so these are going to be the male workforce. That's a sign of a healthy colony. They're obviously strong enough to think about reproduction. Now that the little marker on the queen is dried, we can release her. There she goes. Starting to bring it in, capped it off. That's all dehydrated nectar down enough that they consider it to be honey. These open cells are still too moisture rich, but they're doing fantastically. They can have a queen excluder, which means the queen can't get up through. Obviously all the bees can. They can have another box, and they can roll all this out into some nice honeycomb. Hopefully they should give us a crop this year. And I like to use the spy boards, so you can always have a little look what the bees are up to. There we go. The Eden Project bees transferred into a full-size hive.